Google AI Studio now not only talks to you but sees what you're looking at, your screen, your camera, your world, and helps you in real time. In this video, we're diving into Google AI Studio's experimental Gemini Stream Realtime feature, testing it with jaw-dropping use cases. We'll master swing trading with real setups, analyze CT and PET scans to detect Alzheimer's and lung cancer, have Gemini conduct mock interviews for you, help with math homework, and so much more. I'm not here to just hype up this feature. I'm going to show you exactly what works, what doesn't, and at the end of the video, provide you with some useful tips to get the most out of Google AI Studio's Gemini Stream Real-Time feature. First, let me give you a lightning-fast setup walkthrough so we can focus on the magic throughout the video. Gemini Flash 2.0 Experimental is the star of the show. It's packed with cutting-edge multimodal capabilities that process images, videos, and text in real time. You can interact via text or voice, choose from a few audio options. There are some advanced options that even let Gemini execute code or call functions. Gemini's grounding feature taps directly into Google Search, making it a powerhouse for live data-driven tasks like learning to trade stocks and connecting with latest news. Once you set up everything, you could just have voice conversation, or show your camera and have conversation, or share your screen and have conversation. Screen sharing is what we are going to be experimenting today. Let's dive in. Let's jump right into learning stock trading with Gemini 2.0. Hey Gemini, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I see that you've got a chart of Tesla stock up. What would you like to do?
So before diving into the Tesla-specific setup, can you tell me in general, what are the top few things that we need to watch for when we're doing a swing trade?
Firstly, pay attention to the overall trend. Is it an uptrend, a downtrend, or is the stock trading sideways? Secondly, look for potential support and resistance levels which can indicate good entry and exit points. Lastly, be mindful of the volume. Are the price movements backed by high or low volume?
Okay, how do you go about placing entry point, exit point, and stop losses?
Ideally, you want to enter a swing trade when you identify a clear signal based on your strategy. This could be a break of a resistance level in an uptrend or a bounce off a support level in a downtrend. The exit point should be based on a profit target or a signal that the trend is changing. Stop losses should be placed to protect your capital. A common strategy is to place stop losses at a level below your entry point. A good starting point is just below a support level, or, if shorting, just above a resistance level. Based on the current price action and the indicators, I would suggest setting the entry point for a short position around $423. Given your entry point at $423 and the 1-to-2 risk-reward ratio, your stop loss should be around $425 and your take profit should be around $419. Does that sound good?
Perfect. Let me draw that up. So, I'll be honest, guys. I'm not an expert trader and I always look for opportunities to learn. And I will never enter a trade just after talking to Google AI Studio and Gemini alone with my real money. But that was an amazing learning experience that you have to potentially pay hundreds of dollars to get it otherwise. What do you all think? Share in comments below. Next, Gemini is going to help with a middle school math problem. Let's dive in. Hey Gemini, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help you?
I had this problem from school. I wanted to know how would I find x with this diagram.
Sure, I can help you with that. You have a right triangle with one leg of length 32, a hypotenuse of length 40, and you need to find the length of the other leg, labeled x. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the missing side. Do you know how to use that?
No, what is the Pythagorean theorem?
The Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides. In formula terms, it is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is the hypotenuse and a and b are the other two sides. Would you like me to demonstrate how to apply it to your problem?
Yes, please.
All right. So, using the Pythagorean theorem, we can substitute the values for the sides we know. X squared plus 32 squared equals 40 squared. Now we need to solve for x. Would you like me to show you the next steps?
Yes, but can you go slower?
Of course I can slow down. So we have x squared plus 32 squared equals 40 squared. The next step is to calculate the squares. So 32 squared is 1024, and 40 squared is 1600. That leaves us with x squared plus 1024 equals 1600. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, to isolate x squared, we need to subtract 1024 from both sides of the equation. This gives us x squared equals 1600 minus 1024, which equals 576. Are you following along?
Yeah,
Great, now that we know that x squared equals 576, we need to take the square root of both sides to find the value of x. The square root of 576 is 24. So the length of the missing side, x, is 24. Is that what you got?
yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Teachers and students out there, would you use this in real life? Please comment below. Next, we are going to take help from Gemini to read a couple of PET scan images that diagnose Alzheimer's and lung cancer. Let's dive in.
I see you've shared a brain scan image. Would you like to discuss it?
Yes, yeah. Can you explain what is going on in this scan and what the report is trying to diagnose?
Certainly. Let's analyze the images. What you've shared appears to be a brain SPEC scan, comparing a normal brain on the left with a brain showing signs of reduced perfusion on the right. The colors indicate the amount of blood flow, with red representing the highest flow and blue representing the lowest. The scan on the right shows areas with reduced blood flow, which is indicated by the green and the blue spots in the posterior region of the brain. This kind of scan can help diagnose conditions that affect blood flow in the brain, such as stroke, dementia, or head trauma. Do you have any more questions about this scan?
Got it. Okay. And what is this blue thing compared to the red and green? Why are they blue?
Good question. In a SPEC scan, the blue color represents the lowest level of blood flow or perfusion, compared to red, which shows the highest level, and green, which indicates an intermediate level. Blue signifies a significant reduction in blood flow to that particular area of the brain. Is that clear?
Got it. Okay. Now, do you think Alzheimer's can be diagnosed with this scan?
It's possible for SPEC-C scans to aid in diagnosing Alzheimer's disease, but it is not a definitive diagnostic test by itself. The scan results would be used in conjunction with other clinical evaluations and tests. The areas of decreased blood flow, particularly in the posterior regions of the brain, which are shown on the right scan that you sent, can suggest neurodegenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's, but other diseases could cause those patterns as well. Does this help you understand it?
Absolutely. So this is the image that I want you to analyze next.
Okay, this image shows 3 different scans of the same area of the body: a CT scan, a PET scan, and a combined CORT PET scan. The CT scan shows detailed anatomical structures, with the yellow area indicating some abnormality or point of interest. The PET scan shows metabolic activity with the brighter areas, and the combined scan merges both images to give a more detailed view of the area, combining both structural information from the CT and metabolic data from the PET. Is there anything particular about this image you would like to discuss?
Yeah, I'm very curious about those bright spots in the PET scan and also the CORT PET scan. What do they signify? What kind of diseases are we trying to diagnose here?
The bright spots on a PET scan indicate areas of high metabolic activity, which can be associated with cancerous tumors. In this scan, you can see a few of them in the liver. The area of interest in the CCIT scan, which has been highlighted in yellow, also has a high metabolic activity according to the PET scan. So they are possibly cancerous lesions, and in this particular case, the scan is possibly being used to diagnose metastatic cancer. Are there any other aspects that you would like me to elaborate on?
No, I'm good. I don't know about you all, but I certainly learned a thing or two from that discussion with Gemini. Moving on to next use case. I'm a newbie when it comes to video editing, so I thought it'd be great to learn with Gemini in Davinci Resolve. I was trying to add a rectangular border to some of my video clips, but see how it fails for yourself. Hey Gemini, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I see your screen and it looks like you have Davinci Resolve open with a video in the timeline. How can I help?
Can you help me add a border to this video?
Yes, I can help you with that. To add a border to your video, we can use the cropping tool in the inspector panel. Would you like to proceed with this method?
How will that work? Can you explain it?
Okay, here's how we can add a border using the cropping tool. First, select the video clip in your timeline. Then, in the inspector panel, find the cropping section. We will adjust the left, right, top, and bottom values to create the border. Are you ready to try it out?
Now can you help me add a rounded rectangular border instead? How would that work?
Okay, to create a rounded rectangular border, we'll use the mask feature within the cropping tool. This will allow you to adjust the corner roundness. Are you ready to proceed with these steps?
Okay, let's try it.
All right, let's start. First, make sure the video clip you want to add the border to is selected in your timeline. Once
Okay.
you've done that, please let me know, and we'll move to the next step.
Let's move to the next step.
Okay, now in the Inspector panel, under the Cropping section, you'll see a drop-down menu that says Rectangle. Click that drop-down and select the mask option. Please let me know once you have done this.
I have the cropping section open here, but there is no rectangle here. Are you seeing the screen?
I apologize, it seems I was a bit unclear.
So, I just showed a couple of examples of the Gemini's failures. But behind the scenes, I tried about 10 to 15 times and it never succeeded. It could be due to the fact that the Gemini model was trained with a different version of Davinci Resolve and it's completely confused. But I just wanted to share with you that it's not a silver bullet to all your problems. Next one is my most favorite use case with Gemini, and I'm already recommending to all my friends. You can literally use Gemini for mock interviews instead of paying someone hundreds of dollars. Through prompts, I was able to set the interview duration, number of questions, and also ask Gemini to provide feedback at the end of the interview. Believe me, at least once I really felt nervousness of a real interview during these 5 minutes. It was surreal. Hey Gemini.
Okay, let's get started. Can you design a system for a URL shortening service, keeping in mind it needs to be scalable and efficient? Feel free to draw a diagram if you'd like.
Got it. So first, I'm going to start with the user. Let's call this circle the user. And they are going to input a URL to our URL shortener API. Let's call this input URL. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so far so good. I see a user inputting a URL, which is a great starting point. Now, can you explain how you're planning to generate the short URL and where the mapping will be stored?
Got it. So I'm creating an URL shortener service here. This will be connected to a database within my system. So let's draw a database where I will be storing a mapping of URL and the corresponding shortened URL ID. I'm going to draw this up as we speak. Okay, so let's start the mapping here.
Okay, I see that you've added a URL shortener service and a database. It looks like you will store the mapping between the original and shortened URLs in the database. Okay, so you've shown the mapping and database. Can you explain how the shortened URL will be generated, perhaps with a short code algorithm?
Now, there are multiple ways to generate a URL. A simple solution could be generating a hash of the given URL. So here is what will happen. We will take the inputted URL and apply it through a hash function. So we can call the shortened URL equal to hash of the URL. Does that make sense so far?
Yes, that makes sense. Using a hash function to create the short URL is a common and effective approach. This also addresses uniqueness. Now, how will you handle collisions?
I see. So yeah, hashing is definitely prone to collisions like you mentioned. One option is to use stronger hashing algorithms to reduce the probability of collisions. That's one approach. Or otherwise, we try to insert the hashed URL. But if there is a collision, then we detect that we can introduce some salt and rehash. Or we could think of adding some randomness.
Okay, you've correctly identified that collisions are a potential problem. It's good that you mentioned you can either use a stronger hashing algorithm or introduce a salt to handle this. However, we are out of time, so let's stop here. Here's some feedback.
Okay?
Okay, you did a good job of designing a basic URL shortening service. You correctly identified key components like the user input, URL shortener service, database, and how to handle collisions. You showed good understanding of system design. One area for improvement could be to think about how to make the system truly scalable, perhaps by considering load balancing, caching, and database scaling. But for a junior level position, this is a solid approach. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm good, thank you. So, but what are your thoughts on Google AI Studio's performance? Please share in comments below. Now, last but not the least, how about you have a companion watching over your shoulders while you are on the battlefield in Fortnite? Let's check this out. Should I pick the blue gun or should I grab the gray gun?
Since you don't have any weapons, I would advise picking up the blue gun, since it is more effective than your pickaxe. Would you like to know anything else about the game?
Yes.
Alright, you have picked up the blue rifle. Do you want to explore Seaport City, or would you like to do something else?
Yes. What is this and what will come out if I open it?
That is a treasure chest. and it will contain random items, including weapons, ammo, or healing items. Should you open it?
Yes, I will. Now, what should I do using my inventory?
You currently have a shield potion and a sentinel pump shotgun. Do you want to use this shield potion to increase your shield, or save it for later?
I think I will use it right now.
Okay, it looks like you decided to use the shield potion.
Tip number 1, stay in control. LLMs like Gemini can hallucinate, and during live conversations that can get frustrating fast. The solution? Set clear ground rules with your prompts and always stay in charge. These tools are basically dummy intelligent tools. They are as smart as your guidance, ask the right questions, and they'll deliver. For example, in the Tesla trading use case, I focused on fundamentals like entry points and stop losses before diving into specifics. Without that, Gemini's advice was way off. Set up your prompts with all expectations before starting the screen share, and Gemini will follow your lead from the first, "Hi Gemini." Tip number 2, keep it short and sweet. Building on that, keep in mind that Gemini Livestream is still in beta, and disconnects can happen. A lot. To avoid headaches, break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable chunks. And again, use your prompts wisely to avoid wasting time explaining your goals mid-conversation. Tip number 3, don't spill the secrets. This feature is still experimental, so avoid sharing confidential or sensitive information. Remember, anything you share could potentially be used for training purposes. Tip number 4, real-time, sort of. While the feature is called Stream Realtime, it's not exactly instantaneous. What's happening behind the scenes? Gemini captures short video clips of your screen and audio, processes them, and then responds. So, expect a slight lag. It's just part of the deal. Tip number 5, memory woes. Gemini does have session-based memory, but as soon as you refresh or start a new session, it's all gone, including chat history. If the conversation is important, make sure to manually save anything you need. Here are the prompts I used for my demos in case you are interested.